A good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 7th of November, 2023. Coming up on the Tuesday Rant with the Crusty Canuck podcast. Bohica, that's right. Bend over. Here it comes again, ladies and gentlemen. Top news of the day is Le Bloc Québécois voted along with the Liberals to say no to carbon tax relief. What does this mean for Canada? It means some people will get ahead and we will get it up the chuff. So this episode is called Bend Over. Here it comes again. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. I like to smoke cigarettes and swear. Stay tuned. Episode 241 of the Crusty podcast of the Tuesday Rant. Bohica, that's right. Yes, it's been on everyone's mind this past couple of days. Well, the past 24 hours, to say the least. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to those individuals that have made a point of making comments on my last video there I did on Saturday. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are awesome. Special thank you up there to my friends at This Guy's Garage and Mr. Sunshine Baby and Clyde Do Something for putting up some great content too. Check out their channels respectively. I'll leave links to their work in the description at the end of this episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen the results of how our parliament really gives a care about the Canadian taxpayer. Now, you've heard me rant and rage on Saturday in regards to helping Atlantic Canada with their dire needs to keep heating oil, to keep their homes warm and all that, even though the economic structure, well, economics is hard on Canadians. And regards to what the populists and the elitists like to say about the global phenomenon of inflation, inflation happens because people overspend and they borrow more to give more. Now, how much is being borrowed in the Canadian economy to help Canadians other than the CERB and CEBA fiasco that happened during the pandemic? Okay. Oh, wait. All right. How much did Canada benefit from that? Now, there's people that are struggling to pay that back. There are people that have paid it back. Good for them. But that's a classic example of how the government has spent so much money they don't have in the name of helping people and virtue. Now, I've said this before. If you're going to cut taxes from 3% of the population that relies on home heating oil, how come you can't cut the taxes on the people that use natural gas and propane and everything else to heat their homes, to heat their livestock, to heat their grains, to heat their exports, their products, to keep everything cool and balanced, right? Okay. Now, when I watched yesterday the final statements of Pierre Poilievre and, of course, the Liberals and Les Bloc, okay, I've got no respect for Les Bloc. I don't. Not because they want to separate. It's because they want to separate, yet they want mom and dad to pay the bills. Okay. So basically, when I hear separatists from Les Bloc talk about Quebec sovereignty and identity and all this, it's like, okay, you're like an unruly teenager that wants to leave home and go out in his or her own, but you still want mom and dad to pay after the important things like your rent and your groceries. That's the way I look at the separation issue. Because I remember back in the 1990s, when there was a yes and no vote that Jean Chrétien's party put together for the populace to decide if they want Quebec to stay. And it was a pretty close yes, we want you to stay. But there are a lot of businesses that set up shop in La Belle Province. They got the hell out of Dodge because they were afraid that they would go under. They were afraid they'd lose their footing. They were afraid they'd lose their businesses because of these decisions that some of these Quebecers were making. Right now, I've heard rumblings and ramblings about how there's lots of natural gas deposits in Quebec that they could refine and do all these wonderful things with. And there are some assets to the gas industry in this country. There's a couple of refineries there. They're going to refine fuel, what have you. But they don't really refine a lot of Canadian fuel, ladies and gentlemen. They refine fuel from Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Venezuela, right? Because it was the mayor of Montreal there a few years back who didn't want a pipeline coming from the east, or correction, coming from the west to the east, all in the name of saving the environment. Yet that same mayor never answered any questions of why they dump raw sewage into the St. Lawrence Seaway. Right? So there's those questions at Penn there too. There's those questions and those abilities. Okay. What are they going to do? Now, apparently the carbon tax does not affect a lot of Quebecers like it does the rest of us Canadians. You could thank the Quebec legislation for that, and you could thank the likes of the influences of certain Quebec politicians that saw to that too. Yet in 2020, I believe, the Quebec government received roughly $13 billion in equalization from the oil production in this country. Now, we've all heard the schematic about the have and have not provinces, what have you. I can understand the have nots. But the only reason a lot of these provinces have not is because of government monopolies and regulations that stifle them from having. Here's an example of the have nots. In 1992, I think it was John Crombie, or was it Crosby? I think his name was. Anyhow, devout Newfoundlander, conservative politician, was in the Maroney caucus. He put on that fishing moratorium. That hurt a lot of Newfoundlanders, right? And yet at that time, prior to that time, there were a lot of foreign fishing vessels that were seen and escorted out of Canadian waters at that time for overfishing and fishing in Canadian waters. However, the government's response to that was, oh, let's just put a stop to fishing and ruin the industry for a province like Newfoundland and Labrador. And shortly thereafter, they brought in the GST and they upped the ante because the federal budget dictated that they double the price of cigarettes, double the price of booze, and put GST and everything to bring money back into the government kitty again. Okay. So every time the government has these great ideas when it comes to taxation, somebody always gets screwed. Now, I'm not saying abolish, take away the privilege for those Atlantic Canadians that need home heating oil. We all need heat in this winter. But to all the buffoonery that goes on there, especially Yves Blanchette and your arrogance, your smug fucking arrogance. Okay? You don't want to be part of Canada, but you like earning Canadian money. You don't want to be part of Canada, but you love the equalization. You don't want to be part of Canada, but you love the handouts that the so-called federalists give you on a yearly basis, twice a year. Okay? So which is it? Can Quebec set up shop on their own? It might be hard. They possibly can, but with what? Do you want mom and dad to pay your bills? Do you want mom and dad to set up the industry for you? Do you want mom and dad to give the education and tell you to go your own way? Or here's an idea. How about you let Western oil come to Quebec where you can refine it and then you can distribute throughout the country? Oh, wow. But no, you don't want that because it's dirty oil, right? It's dirty oil. Yet from Saudi Arabia, which is unethical, Nigeria, unethical, and Venezuela, unethical. That's fine. That's fine, right? And you even said yourself, when you talked on CPAC there, that the carbon tax doesn't really bother Quebecers, but you're trying to save the planet. Really? So it's up to Canada to save the planet? Is that the wisdom you are promoting to us, sir? Is that the wisdom? Right? We got to pay more to turn our heat on? Well, you can sit there as an MP, as an elected MP in Parliament. You're making roughly $260,000 a year there, Buckeye. And you're telling the rest of us that we just have to go without because you have better things to do? Well, it doesn't really bother Quebec, but I'm going to vote along with Justin Trudeau because there's more perks and privileges that I will get out of it. So not only are you a selfish prick, well, you're just a selfish prick. That is all.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're back to episode 241, Tuesday Rant, the Crusty Podcast. Bohica, bend over. Here it comes again. Yes, today's topic is basically the Bloc and the Liberals, and the Allies just don't care. And they don't care, ladies and gentlemen. They don't really give a shit about you and I. They don't care about how we feel. We just got to keep paying it forward because they have to pay this national debt. They have to fill in their green kitty so they can help their green buddies out with these climate scams, right? And there's still people out there that are walking around thinking, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. It was a big deal prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, and after the pandemic. It is a big fucking deal. Why? Because it's affecting all of us here. Okay? All these clowns have sat there for hours upon hours in Parliament saying, oh, these people don't pay their fair share. Oh, these big corporations do this and these corporations do that. Who's the biggest corporation that's fucking Canadians as we speak? Huh? Who's the biggest corporation that's screwing our American friends as we speak? Our capital cities. Everybody who works in those capital cities that make those decisions that are supposed to benefit you and I on a daily basis. Whatever. Right? They can't even promise us a kiss and a reach around. They just want to keep sticking it up our chuffs and expecting us just to comply. Oh, please govern me harder, Daddy. Oh, please govern me harder. Oh.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I was just in the moment there too. But you know what I'm getting at here. It doesn't matter where we go or what we do. Okay, the government has its hands taking a piece of this and a piece of that. Okay, I come across an email there from a lad that's on my page, and he was talking about we have to fight this climate and get rid of the carbon. I'd like to remind you people, and I mean all you people. I'm not going to pull Don Cherry here and be misinterpreted because Don Cherry's great in his own way. Carbon's part of life. It's plant food. We inhale, we exhale carbon. Things absorb it around us. That's the wonderful thing about the nature of this country, the nature of any country. Okay. And these individuals keep stopping their feet in parliaments or senates alike or all around the world. We have to stop carbon. From what? What's it doing? Okay. We have enough boreal forest in this country that can stop any climate catastrophe that's based in carbon. Okay. We're all carbon. Every piece of us, every item we use is full of carbon. I'm going to reference Star Trek here. Okay, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, right? V'ger, the robot, V'ger, the scout for V'ger there. Carbon unit. Remember that? Carbon units. We're all based in carbon. So why is it so hard for these whack jobs to understand that? I don't care what the Paris Accord said. I don't care what the UN says. Okay. What do we, the people, say? What do Americans say? What do Canadians say? What do my beloved Canadians out there have to say about this? This buffoonery. Oh, we'll give a tax break to this group, but we won't give a tax break to that group. Oh, we'll do this, but we won't do that. Yet the same lefties and cronies alike constantly sit and ponder about tax breaks that are given to big oil and tax breaks that are given these corporations. Yet you just did the same thing you're accused of, right in the open. Basically, you're caught in the whorehouse with your pants down and your ding dong out, making a wish. Right? You're doing it. So, to everybody out there that has backed up Yves Blanchette, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, shame on you. Shame on you. Right? And to those individuals that are harping about too much far-right extremism, take a look at your utility bills come January. Especially after Christmas, especially if you spend a lot of money in your family and loved ones to have a good holiday, right? Because there's always that recovery period after Christmas, right? What they call the Blue Mondays, where you sit there and you realize, God, you spent too much money, or you drank too much, or you ate too much food, and then you don't have the money to cover off on anything, right? Because you listen to your MP, you listen to people that voted in the House of Commons, who said tax is a good thing. So we have all these taxes in this country, yet we can't afford to upgrade our military. We have all these taxes in this country, and yet we can't look after our seniors properly. We have all these additional taxes in this country, and yet we can't look after the First Nations water issue. Okay? All these taxes in this country, and we can't prosecute and persecute criminals officially without worrying about the woke mandates to back it up. But there's lots of time and lots of effort to take money out of my pocket, your neighbor's pocket, your kids' pockets everywhere that the government has their hands into too. Now, I didn't put any videos up here. I got one video I'm going to play from one of the Taxpayer Federation representatives, Chris Sims. Nice lady out of Alberta, Lethbridge, I believe. And she represents the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, the Alberta chapter. And she's got a great video where she's talking about the price of groceries based on this carbon tax and what it's going to cost Canadians in the long run. So I'll play that for you shortly. However, like I said, this is a rant, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a little emotional and it's a little reflective on the decisions we have made in the past when it comes to electing people to represent us. Okay. Now, my libertarian side's coming out here too. Why can't we just leave people alone? Why can't we just keep their hands out of their pockets? Why can't these politicians make a sound decision to represent the people? Now, the past 8 years of Justin Trudeau, as Mr. Poilievre says, has stifled that. The past 8 years of this Liberal government has not been liberal whatsoever, right? They've been liberal with your money and liberal with my money, but not liberal with theirs. They've been liberal with taking more money at the gas pumps, more money from income tax, more money from sales taxes, and they've been really, really friendly with the equalization payments towards parts of Ontario and especially La Belle Province. Now, what gets me is that, like I've said earlier, the equalization scheme, the schematic, was built to help the provinces that have less than other provinces. Now, if you opened up the markets and let our oil flow, think about the profits that can come to that and how maybe much bigger the equalization payments may be. Oh, wow. I mean, if they actually had a pipeline going to the East Coast where you can ship Canadian oil around the globe, ship Canadian LNG around the globe, you could be, a little bit richer. We could have a working dollar and actually not worry about taxes as much. Wow. Well, smack my ass and call me Judy. Wow, who knew?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Just a reminder, folks, too, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe and share this content all over your social media platform. You do find the podcast on Podbean, YouTube, Rumble. You can also find it on iHeartRadio, supercast.com, Amazon, Spotify, and Player FM too. I've been looking at my stats there on the Podbean page, and I'm thankful once again to all my American listeners. Thank you very much to the beautiful state of Oregon, beautiful state of Washington, and South Carolina. And yesterday I looked and I have about 4 listeners that come out of Singapore. Oh, great. So I'm getting across the ocean, which is good. Thank you very, very much. Round of applause for you all out there that have downloaded my show. You guys are awesome, and I'm very, very grateful. So keep downloading, keep sharing my content all over your social media platforms too. Help us Canucks get our words out there as well. There's more to Canada than just maple syrup, hockey, and politeness, eh? Right? I've heard that stereotype all my life. And, there's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot to be proud of in this country, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to be proud of. And there's really no reason why we can't brag about some of the accomplishments this country has given to the planet as we speak. A couple off the top of my head is Dr. Frederick Banting, a man out of London, Ontario, or the area thereof, who created insulin. So diabetics have a long and meaningful life. Not to mention the individual that invented the zipper. I think he was a Black Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. Peanut butter, and of course, the beloved game of ice hockey. Anyhow, that's just a few off the top of my head. But there's lots of notable Canadian inventions out there that have helped the world out drastically and dramatically as we speak. Anyhow, I'm digressing. Carrying on with this episode of the Tuesday Rant with Crusty and Canuck, episode 241, Bohica, Le Bloc, and the Liberals and Allies just don't care. Bend over, here it comes again. That's the abbreviation for Bohica, ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't heard it before. So, more of my ranting and raging. And it's total rage now, too, because this week is Remembrance Week for us vets. So there's a lot of emotional and a lot of thoughts and a lot of nightmares and shit that are regurgitating, that are coming back to haunt us every day. And when I look at poor leadership, I look at the way I was trained to be a leader. I look at the mistakes I made as a leader, and I look at some of the good things I did as a leader, too. And when you sum it all up, I guess you can say I'm about an 89, maybe 90 percentile. Okay, I'll be fair. I'll be 88% effective. Okay, given room for the emotional trauma and the mental trauma that I overcame, given the room that some of the people I worked for just didn't give a shit, and given to the factor too where my head was going at the time. So I think I got a passing grade. When I look back at my career, there are things I could have done better. There are things I could have said, things I should have done. There are times I should have kept my mouth shut, and there are times where I shouldn't have kept my mouth shut. But that's my thing. A lot of those problems are said and done, but there's still problems that linger on a daily basis. And I deal with them to the best of my ability, ladies and gentlemen. And I expect you, my wonderful audience out there, to deal with yours just the same. Just the same, just to understand that there's a long life out there we need to live. And we have to choose our battles carefully and wisely, of course. Not to jump the gun, but when it comes to everybody getting screwed up the pooch when it comes to our taxes, simple things like home heating, our housing, and just trying to get along, we have to question the powers that be to the best of our ability. And as the last resort, I hate to say it, as an utmost last resort, stand our ground firmly. Be right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And like I said, this is episode 241, Bohica, of the Tuesday Rant, Crusty Canuck podcast. Yes, Bloc and liberals and their allies just don't care about you and I. And they don't. They don't, because they have lots of money to make. They get their pension, they get their cushy job and their perks, and they royally don't give a shit. Anyhow, as promised, here's this video from Chris Sims, Alberta rep for the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. I'll leave a link to the taxpayersfederation.com where you can sign a petition, put an end to this ridiculous tax and other things too at your leisure. So I'll just cue this up here, ladies and gentlemen, for your listening pleasure, and please enjoy.
Hey, so it's Saturday, and that means I'm grocery shopping. I'm armed with my list, and I'm getting the big cart full that I usually have to get for my family of 4 on my typical weekend shopping trip. Now, on average, this will cost the typical Canadian family of 4 around $300 for a big cart of groceries like this. You know what else is going to cost most Canadian families $300? The carbon tax. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's carbon tax is going to cost around $300 extra for your home heating bill this winter. You know what's interesting is that the Liberal government has just given a big exemption to one form of home heating, furnace oil. Guess which region mostly relies on furnace oil? Atlantic Canada. Guess what else is in Atlantic Canada? Lots and lots of Liberal seats. Folks, this is not right. The vast majority of us use natural gas to heat our homes in the winter. And as of right now, we're not getting any break on our carbon tax this coming winter. Folks, stand up and be heard. Go to our website, taxpayer.com, sign the petition, tell Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that you want the same carbon tax exemption on your home winter heating fuel this coming year. Keep in mind, over the next 3 years, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's carbon tax is going to cost you around $1,100 just on your home heating fuel. It is unfair not to give the same break to all Canadians using all forms of winter heating fuel. So go to our website, taxpayer.com, sign the petition, and tell Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that you want fairness.
Yes, and that was Chris Sims, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. I'll leave a link, as I said, in the description for you to follow too. And if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe. If you feel like donating, there's links to donate and support this podcast too. I got my shop, got my PayPal, I got my Stripe account there too, and other ways you can support this financially. If you desire, you don't have to. I'm not going to sit here and demand cash, but I'm just. We're all hurting, but I'm not expecting people to give their hard-earned money just to a little old me. I expect them to save their money and to progress and thrive by their own means, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I'll be back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And by popular demand, too. I've had a few fans ask me for this. This is one of my favorite segments to do. It's, as long as I find somebody somebody to pick on, what have you. But we are back to having another segment of everyone's favorite.
The Canadian polar vortex of bullshit.
Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. And with special consideration and deep, deep soul searching, I have picked no other than one special candidate for this episode's winner of the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit. And the person is, wait for it. Like I said, the person is none other than Mr. Yves Blanchette of Les Bloc Québécois. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Yves Blanchette. Yes. Welcome, Mr. Blanchette, to the ever so wonderful Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit Award. So please, sir, in your own words and in your own language too, if you'd like, I don't care if you do it in English and French or whatever babbling you want to come up with, how do you really feel about winning the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit Award? Oh, well, we've got issues for that. We've got creams for that sort of thing. Can you please say that again, sir, but slower, if you can? Sir, are you still there? You still listening or what? What's... Oh, well then. Okay, that's understandable. I can understand that. Sorry. I was never taught that when I took French lessons, but I can relate to that. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Do you have anyone to thank? Anyone to to honor while receiving this award, sir?
I'm so happy I could just shit.
Well, there's the English for you too. So there's a bilingualism that we all crave. This has been, oh my God, you sorry little man. This has been another edition of, ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian
Polar vortex of bullshit.
Well done, sir. Well done, sir. And winning that award, you're up there with all the big other cronies and the other greedy bastards and the other people who really just don't care about this country. So well done in there, Mr. Yves Blanchette. Well done. Well done on you putz. Anyway, back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. If you like to hear what you see, please, you can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, Rumble too. And if you want to catch out my bio and read up about me, just check out my website, www.crustycanuck.ca. You'll find links there to my shop and donation links and all that kind of stuff too. Or if not, you can just do it right here on the YouTube or on the Rumble, wherever you see my podcast posted. I leave the links up there so you can choose at your leisure on what you want to see and do. I highly encourage my YouTube audience, and especially my Rumble audience out there too, please handing me some comments. Keep the algorithm going by handing comments. Give me some comments if you can. I'm not going to beg. It just helps too, and it generates the interest in the show. I've had a lot of people say wonderful things about what I do, and they thank me for my service, and you're welcome. However, though, when that comes from a politician, when they sit there and go, thank you for your service, I just want to cold cock him right in the fucking kisser, because even that tone is so disingenuous. It's like Christopher Walken says, I don't like your tone. You got it all wrong. Right? That kind of thing. Anyhow, I'm digressing. Anyway, back to the meat and potatoes of this conversation. Bohica, bend over. Here it comes again. Le Bloc and the Liberals and allies don't care. Now, Jagmeet Singh made a point of saying how they wanted to get rid of the GST on home heating. How about abolish it altogether? I've said this before in my last episode. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's that simple. That's all it is. Okay. And if the government can stop payment on one part of the country of carbon tax, he can do it for the rest of the country. But then if he's going to stop payment, then that proves that this carbon tax is not really going to saving the world. It's going to line some pockets or to save up for a rainy day. That's not going to help Canadians. That's probably going to help a few liberals out and a few backbenchers and a few little slap and ticklers. You know the old saying, slap and tickle for the pickle. Unfortunately, it comes at the expense of the Canadian taxpayer. Okay? So, without looking like a total clown, well, this is what I say. Maybe we should ponder a tax revolt. Maybe we should ponder and maybe talk to our employers when it comes to stopping certain payments. How about we talk to individuals and how we can rally to stop paying said taxes? It can be done, right? If our American friends can dump tea into the Boston Harbor based on the inflationary time and the economic times of what was going on in Boston in the 1770s prior to the American Revolution, then maybe there's something that Canadians can do too. I'm not saying take your cups of tea and throw them in Lake Ontario. It's polluted enough already. We don't need any more of that hassle. But I'm saying maybe there's something we can do as Canadians, working class Canadians, and all Canadians for that matter, all Canadians that have contributed to this society thus far, right? These individuals talk about big oil, yet they subsidize schools that teach these kids about humanities and gender dysfunctions and identities and everything, when they should be designing and creating engineers and builders as we speak, right? Hey, what do I know? Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 7th of November, 2023. As always, I wish good things for you all. I would like to see people get ahead. I want all people to thrive. I want all Canadians to thrive, all colors, all creeds, all genders, all peoples. Doesn't matter if you're First Nation, doesn't matter if you're Black, doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're Asian descent or descent of this, descent of that. You grew up here, guess what? You're a Canadian. And even if you say to yourself, oh, I'm not a Canadian, well, fine. But you live here and you deserve to thrive too. Just don't stand in people's way when they want to thrive. You know what I mean? Shit simple. Basic principles of proper liberalism. Something that our politicians in fucking Ottawa have forgotten. But, you know, what do I know? But like I say, ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this content on all of your social media platforms, and don't hesitate to give me a comment or two or send me an email. All my information is in my description. If you want to write me a letter, send me a package, by all means. I love handwritten letters because I know my handwriting needs some work. So it'll give me an excuse to write a letter too. But needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, I wish nothing but the best for you. To my veteran pals and friends out there, to my American listeners, to my Marines, American Army, Navy, and Air Force alike, hoorah. And let's just try to be good this week. Let's just try to remember and reflect on our fallen and honor them and honor the sacrifices they made for our freedoms. And especially let's honor to the men and women that served and kicked ass in Afghanistan too. Yours truly was there. And I was privy to see some good things and some not so good things. Needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, let's remember and reflect and wear your poppy proudly. And if you're too busy or if you're working on Saturday, take a couple of minutes, take off your hat, stand and pause for a few minutes just to think about us lads. Think about the lads that came before us and the lads of the future too, because who knows what's around the corner. But this time, let's deal with what we have and just do our best to be good and to be civil and to thrive to the best of our abilities. I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 7th of November, 2023. Time to bundle up, look after your friends and loved ones, do what you can to help you out in these trying times. And I will be back probably Friday night, maybe Sunday with an episode, a little Remembrance Day reflection kind of thing, probably Friday. But stay tuned to YouTube and Facebook for updates accordingly. And I won't let you down. Like I say, do what you can, help you out in these trying times. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. And I'll see you in about 5 days. Cheers.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worth.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Mama thinks I'm pretty. See ya.